All online games share the same fate. Sooner or later, people will stop playing them and they will end up here, in this game cemetery. And although we can imagine many reasons why a game can end up like this, the least expected will be having a loyal community. Join me to see this tragic story of how greed, a series of bad decisions, and fanaticism led VHS to its demise. But before that, Raid Shadow Legends, the new cell phones RPG with stunning graphics.
No! God! No! No!
We classify games by genres. For example, we have first-person shooters, battle royale, and fighting games. Among all these, we can find a lesser-known genre called the asymmetric genre. The main characteristic of asymmetric games is that the teams facing each other are not balanced, either in power or more commonly in the number of players each team has. Generally, the game Evolve is recognized as the father of this genre. In it, a group of players took the role of the hunters, who had to search the map for the player using the monster before it consumes enough DNA to evolve and become much stronger than them. The game was developed by Turtle Rock, or as they like to call themselves,
as creators of Left 4 Dead,
from the award-winning creators of Left 4 Dead,
creators of the critically acclaimed Left 4 Dead franchise,
made by the creators of Left 4 Dead.
No.
well, at least 7 of their creators. Following the tradition of asymmetric games, Evolve ended up dying, mainly because it had many balance issues, and most of its content was behind microtransactions that had exorbitant prices. The demise of Evolve left a vacant spot for another game to take its place as the flagship of this genre, and this brings us to the game that managed to break the curse: Dead by Daylight. In DVD, 4 survivors confront a killer, but unlike Evolve, the confrontation here is not direct. While the killer has to hunt down the survivors to sacrifice them, the survivors must repair a series of generators to escape the map before the former occurs. DVD's popularity was on the rise, eventually allowing it to secure licenses, acquiring a vast repertoire of horror icons such as Freddy or Michael Myers, and in recent years they have even managed to include horror icons from video games like Pyramid Head from the Silent Hill series and Nemesis and Wesker from Resident Evil.
I love this theme, and I love the work, the skill, the passion that has gone into it. I love this game, and if someone was to ask me again the same question, I do believe I would tell them again, I think we've done a pretty good job so far.
Being the only successful game in a genre is not an easy task, and Dead by Daylight is not known for being a perfect game. Quite the opposite, DVD is known for having numerous bugs, balancing issues, and a divided community. This has caused that many games over the years have tried and failed in their attempts to compete against DVD, but in one of the lowest moments of DVD, where the community was already tired of everything, there was a game that arrived as the savior, having all the potential to become a real competitor. Video Horror Society, better known as VHS, released its first trailer on August of 2021. The premise of VHS was simple. 4 teens had to arm themselves with whatever they could and find and destroy the monster before he did the same to them. Now, if you were paying attention, you might think, that sounds exactly like Evolve, and you will be correct. VHS idea is very similar to Evolve, but strangely, the game has many more mechanics similar to Dead by Daylight. Why? I don't know. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, but since VHS is a deathmatch, DVD's mechanics don't fit entirely, because that game is not designed for survivors to defend against the killer. This was one of the reasons why the gameplay wasn't very appealing to most people, and one of the main problems for why most people didn't want to play the monster role can be seen even in the same trailer.
flamethrower. My favorite.
The idea was as follows: the map was filled with corners, and the best strategy wasn't to engage the monster in combat as the developers expect us to do. Instead, it was much safer to stay in a corner until inevitable the monster had to pass by, and then suddenly emerge and take one of its lives.
Stop or I'll shoot! I have killed one of God's most innocent and intelligent creatures, and I liked it.
This undoubtedly became the best strategy for solo players because it didn't require any coordination, just patience and taking advantage of the fact that the monster didn't receive any warning that there was an armed team nearby. This led to a significant increase in stress levels for those playing as a monster. Suddenly, you have to be worried about every corner because there could be someone nearby, and you can only make the mistake 4 times before it was game over. It didn't take long for people to no longer want to play as a monster. Queue times for playing as a team became very long, taking minutes, even hours. Many players expressed their dissatisfaction with the developers regarding the ambush-focused meta, to which the developers claim they couldn't make any drastic change, and that there should always be an option for the player who was left alone at the end to defend against the monster.
Ambushes from teens, it's a delicate system. We have to make sure that teens have viable counterplay options even when they're by themselves, and they can sometimes be completely by themselves if all the other teens are dead.
Finally, after much time of discussion, they deigned to make a change to put an end to the ambushes once for all. The danger sense was a kind of spidey sense that would tell you when an armed team was nearby. Unfortunately, they made this change 4 months before the game died. The ambush meta became so significant that it ended up generating other serious problems for the game. Among these was the dreadful experience that new players had. Since teens had a scare of all the monster players, the only ones left playing in that role were the best of the best. This meant that no matter which role you choose when starting to play, you will be facing players with much more experience than you, ruining your initial moments with the game.
Espera que ahora spawne aquí. Tira! Tira, anda, tira!
This is something well known and studied in the video game industry. That's why the first matches in most online games are against bots, because it's proven that players who win are more likely to continue playing and therefore spend money in the game. In the end, the VHS team solves this problem by developing bots for the initial normal matches. But like with the danger sense, it was something that came too late. Another aspect to consider is how the game treated you when you lost. For example, in the competition, DVD, let's say you had a bad match and you managed to kill only one survivor. How the games treat you in that situation? Brutal killer. Whereas in VHS you could have an extremely challenging match, eliminate 4 teams because one can be revived, and lose to the last one due to an ambush. What would the game tell to you? You lose. This, although it might seem like a minor detail, is something that gradually enters the player's subconscious, demoralizing them. Now, let's talk about how to extract more money from the players.
Gracias, me gusta el dinero. Me gusta el dinero.
My intention with this section is not to attack the developers. They are a small indie company and they had made it clear that they need all the possible profits.
We're hoping that we can encourage people to shop in the store and support us. You'll have the ability to use in-game currency to get new characters. And if you don't have enough, you should get the new characters anyway because they're ridiculously cool.
Yeah, and we'll try to make the grind of that as reasonable as possible, but obviously we're a free-to-play game. We're not getting money from people buying the game. They can try it out for free, so we're hoping people will support us and buy.
However, I have to talk about some things that caught my attention. During the NFT scandal with the Pinkhead chapter in DVD, the VHS developers made an announcement on Twitter saying the following:
We've seen your questions and concerns. We're making VHS because we love classic monsters, horror, and the 4v1 genre. We have no interest in NFTs. We're not in this to make a quick buck. We're in this to make something special. Thank you for your enthusiasm towards VHS.
They are so generous. If only they hadn't chosen a FOMO store for microtransactions. For those who still don't know, FOMO stands for Fear of Missing Out. It's the same store used by games like Fortnite. Basically, it's a store designed purely and exclusively to capitalize on the fear of missing exclusivity. Since the skins are available for a limited time and it's uncertain if they are gonna return, it makes people want to spend even if they are not entirely sure. In other words, it's an extremely predatory store created exclusively for the benefit of the company and not the consumer. Despite VHS being a game in early access, it was already selling content as DLCs. Primarily, these were skins, but they also include characters. Although they could be purchased with in-game currency, it was scarce and required a lot of time to obtain, so it was more likely that you will resort to buying it with real money. And in that moment, you will encounter a small surprise. The million-dollar question is: your game is quickly losing players. What decision do you make? Option A: remove ambushes. Option B: implement a more consumer-friendly store. Option C: sell new DLC content for $10, a price even higher than that of the competition. Lastly, I want to show you this message, which I find one of the lowest moves they have made. Now, to understand the context, this message was sent 1 month before the announcement of the server shutdown. In the message, they use PR speech to prevent people from panicking. What's worse is that they try to encourage people to keep spending in the store. For example, let's look at the following sentence. Thanks to all of you who continue to support our effort with your feedback, enthusiasm, and fanbox purchases. There is something unusual there because companies usually don't directly say "thank you for spending money." Usually they are more subtle. But there is more. They continue to say that they have nothing planned for the next few months. And this sentence: "We hope you're enjoying the latest store rotation." And it was precisely during that last month of the game's life that all skins and some new ones began to appear in the store, which had no connection to the date they were being released. Typically, skins were released with the theme related to the date, but this didn't. It was clear that they were liquidating all the skins and assets they had already prepared in advance to maximize their profits before closing the game for good. What makes this even worse is that this message was exclusively announced on their Discord server, so the only people who actually read it were the fans, making this a strategy designed to take advantage of the very people who support this game the most.
All you care about is money. This town deserves a better class of criminal.
Hi, I wanted to join the VHS Hold on. If you follow the rules, you get inside. Sorry, what rules? Rule number 1 is to worship the devs. You have to love and appreciate them because they are not like the others. They are special. I see. What's the second rule then? What a stupid question. Obviously, is to hate DVD. But I like both games, actually. Fine. I can let you in, but you are not allowed to complain about anything. We will kick you out at the slightest complaint. DVD players disgust me. Fanaticism can sometimes lead you astray. The situation reached a point where people would check your Steam profile to see if you have Dead by Daylight installed and how many hours you have played. They asked for a minimum of 100 hours before you could even express your opinion about VHS. DVD didn't take long to become the embodiment of evil for every VHS player, the source of all problems. Oh no, VHS servers were hacked! Surely it was someone from DVD. Negative reviews on Steam page? Of course, DVD players trying to make this game look bad. People being toxic and exploiting every game mechanic? You can probably imagine. Even the mods of Steam and Discord forums had a special preference for those who expressed positive opinions. And I will not deny that there were trolls and ill-intentioned individuals in the forums and reviews. But this whole echo chamber of positivity ended up being like a blinder for the devs, delaying their ability to identify the game's issues because everything seems fine. This eventually led to the decisions being made too late, and inevitable. What happened. The community disappeared.
We're constantly building stuff, so we're building well beyond our release point right now because we have a roadmap that goes well into the future.
Yeah, so we love to play and we study the asymmetric genre closely.
This is our first time making a game like this, and we're working really hard to make sure it works as successfully as possible.
If there is something we can learn from all of this, is that no matter the potential we have, or how much we want it, if we are not prepared to fight for our dreams, if we give up in the face of adversity, none of that will even matter. Now we can only look back and remember all those moments we lived, all the friends we made, the laughs we shared, to cherish every moment, because what we have today might be nothing more than a memory tomorrow.
All those moments will be lost in time, like tears.